Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Municipality of Monroeville's regular council meeting. Today is Tuesday, January 13th, 2015, approximately 7 p.m. If we'd all kindly rise for the Lord's Prayer, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, Sharon, please.
Mayor Erskine.
Here.
Mrs. Gatos.
Here.
Dr. Griesbach.
Here.
Mr. Harvey.
Here.
Mr. Johns.
Here.
Mr. Clary.
Here.
Mr. Duncan.
Here.
Mr. Wilson.
Here.
Mr. Little.
Here.
Mr. Dice.
Here.
Mr. Lally. Here. Mr. Hugus.
Here.
Mr. Sedlak.
Here.
Mr. Tufo.
Here.
Okay, right now, ladies and gentlemen, we'll open up for public comment on the proposed agenda items only. Seeing nobody's coming up, we'll move over to our executive session announcement. Council conducted an executive session for personnel and litigation on Tuesday, January 13th, 2015, beginning at 6 p.m. prior to the regular council meeting. Council legislation action, if any, shall be taken tonight at the January 13th, 2015 council meeting. Ladies and gentlemen, before I start the state of the municipality, there are copies up here if you would like to have one. I know I gave it, I think the media has their copy, so we'll start it off. Section 606G of the Monroeville Home Rule Charter requires that the mayor prepare and deliver an annual State of the Municipality report to the citizens of Monroeville. This will be my 7th annual State of the Municipality report. 2014 was a year of transition. A newly elected majority of council took office January of last year. A new former manager was rehired. A new CFO position was created and filled. A new human resource director was created and filled. 5 new police officers were hired in 2014, and our former chief of police was also rehired. As you all are aware, these newly appointed administrative positions are key personnel for the operations of this municipality. They will administer all of the services of the municipality and also support any policy changes as voted on by council. I am glad to report to all of you that these newly appointed administrative employees are very qualified and are exceeding council's and my expectations. 2014 saw council raise the real estate rate to 4.0 mills at the recommendation of the municipal manager. This was due to the ever-increasing cost of maintaining all of the services which are provided to you, our residents. This was the first major tax increase in over 20 years. If you all remember, we did have a small tax increase in 2013. It was very clear to council and this mayor that you, the residents, wanted all the services to remain. Council fulfilled that request, but had no other choice but to raise the millage rate to do so. As we start into 2015, I'm glad to announce that all the services we enjoy will be maintained without a tax increase. However, the challenge for council and the administration throughout this year will be to increase the revenue side of the budget to meet our expense side going into 2016. This means 2015 will be a pivotal year with respect to municipal finances. Number one, most likely it will be a year of the cumulation of all 4 of our labor contracts. Number two, hopefully it will be the year of settling the ambiguity of how health care is delivered by Highmark and UPMC to our employees, and it's associated with the high cost with this much-needed benefit. 2015 will also set the tone how the municipality will pay for the cost of infrastructure improvements. Since our debt service is too high, little side note, we will have to rely on unborrowed monies. Number 4, it is most likely to be another year in which Monroeville and some other 2,600 municipalities in the Commonwealth will see a reduction in the state aid for pension costs because the state cannot afford the increasing cost of subsidizing municipal pensions. As a result, more funds will derive from the municipal general fund, which leaves less money for the aforementioned expenses. Number 5, and 2015 will continue to bring the maintenance of the OPEB, or other post-employment benefits fund, from which we are obligated to pay for retiree health benefits, which will continue to increase. So what does this mean moving into 2015 and beyond? Very simply, costs are increasing, but the revenues are not. And Monroeville, like the vast majority of the other municipalities that are built out and new revenue services are not on the horizon, means we have to reinvent ourselves as a community. We are not the community of the 1950s, 60s, or 70s. However, this does not mean we are less of a community, just different. As mayor with council and the administration, we have to recognize that difference for the citizens of this community. We have to start concentrating on economic development and gentrification issues. I am sure all of you are aware of the competition for new business development, not only in competition with Cranberry, South Hills, the waterfront, and the North Hills, but also with the city of Pittsburgh and Westmoreland County. Therefore, once again, I am challenging the administration and council to review and approve an economic development program to support and encourage business to move into Monroeville. I would request that council and the administration review other programs to encourage business development as well. Lastly, we must work closely with the school district to assist them in any way to encourage young families to remain and/or move into our municipality to support continued growth. Further, we have to reinvent ourselves as a community as not only a maze of commercial strip plazas, but a community that has amenities such as a good school district, a community college, and fabulous parks, senior center, and I say this with all sincerity, a great mall to shop. The recent incident at the Monroeville Mall is not reflective of this community at all, period. However, we as a government have to do a better job with mall management to anticipate these types of incidences, and we will. We are currently discussing with Monroeville Mall management of how we will better anticipate mall disturbances to keep Monroeville Mall a family-friendly shopping experience. This comes under the heading of the most important service this government and others deliver, and that is public safety. If residents and visitors come to this community do not feel safe, we have nothing. And I, as mayor, will not let that happen. This is an opportunity for this government to show Allegheny County and the rest of the Pittsburgh surrounding communities that Monroeville is a safe place to live, shop, and visit, but also filled with great people. And I truly mean that. We have a wonderful community. What made Monroeville advantageous to live and work over a half a century ago can also be a detriment, and that's the close proximity to major highways, the Turnpike, 376, 22. Because of these highway systems, sometimes bad guys will show up in our municipality and sometimes not act in a civil manner. Well, I'm here to tell you, this government is prepared to deal with these people who want to disrupt public safety and tarnish our image in Monroeville. Moreover, council members and I do not support another tax increase in the future. However, as of this writing, it appears from our chief financial officer, the expense side of our ledger will exceed the revenue side moving into 2016. As a result, we need to change in how we deliver services. We need to be more economical and efficient. Therefore, I am offering a suggestion to the administration with council's approval to create a blue ribbon committee of residential business, government, union, and educational leaders with the appropriate administrative personnel to institute a service delivery review, or SDR for short. This blue ribbon committee would review all the services delivered by this government. This service delivery review should be an evaluation process in which municipal services are reviewed to determine the most appropriate way to provide them. It should be designed to assist the municipality to improve the efficiency and the effectiveness of the services we deliver and find better ways of managing expenditures. It will review the budget and the number of employees needed for each service. It would ascertain if we can be more cost-effective in delivering these services. This may take the form of hiring additional employees in specific services. We need to utilize technology better to deliver services, and the real big word out here, outsourcing. It would also mean investigating, sharing services with other public entities, and even possibly consolidating. I want to keep the services we have, just as you, the residents, told this council in the last election, but I believe we can do it more efficiently. The Blue Ribbon Committee would report back to council before the final development of the 2016 budget. So, this would provide a means of possible implementation of some of the suggestions moving into 2016. I would also ask this committee to compare Monroeville to like communities in size, population, and the services of each of them provide and the cost to their taxpayers. This would not, and I want to repeat this, not be a one-time service delivery review, but an analysis done from time to time by engaging our residents to ensure that we are delivering services in the most economical manner. Although I want to affirm not all is a cloud in Monroeville, and it is not. The current unemployment rate is down to 4.5%, with a job growth rate of 1.44%, with a future job rate increase of 38% as per Sterling's national ratings. Current population of Monroeville is 28,366, which is a loss of 3% since 2000. Considering the loss of Westinghouse, and with the major economic disaster of 2008, I believe Monroeville is holding its own. Monroeville Mall has and continues to reinvent itself. The Miracle Mile continues to do well with a high occupancy rate, along with Business District 22, with several new businesses and continuing to improve. As stated above, we do have some budget challenges, but with hard work and tough decisions from council, the administration, and with the assistance from you, the residents of Monroeville, we will thrive many years into the future. Let me just wrap it up with this, that may God bless America and keep her safe. To our military personnel and their families, thank you for your service and sacrifice to our nation. Thank you to our police, our firefighters, and our EMS personnel. Thank you as well for your sacrifice and service. And lastly, and I'm sincere when I say this, may God bless Monroeville and keep her safe as a safe place to live, work, and play. And I do thank you for your time. And with that, we'll move over to the approval of the minutes of the regular council meeting of October 14th, 2014, the Citizens Night meeting of November 6th, 2014, the regular council meeting of November 11th, 2014, the Citizens Night meeting of December 4th, 2014, the council work session of December 4th, 2014, and the regular council meeting of December 9th, 2014. Are there any additions or corrections, council? Seeing none, motion on the floor.
Motion.
Second.
Roll call, Sharon, please.
Mrs. Gatos?
Aye.
Dr. Griesach?
Aye.
Mr. Harvey?
Aye.
Mr. Johns?
Aye.
Mr. Caleri?
Aye.
Mr. Duncan?
Aye.
Mr. Wilson?
Aye.
Moving over to our approval of reports of our tax collections. Once again, council, are there any additions or corrections? Seeing none, motion on the floor.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call, Sharon, please.
Mr. Wilson?
Aye.
Mr. Duncan?
Aye.
Mr. Caleri?
Aye.
Mr. Johns?
Aye.
Mr. Harvey?
Aye.
Dr. Griesach?
Aye.
Mrs. Gatos?
Aye.
And our payroll report, once again, council, any additions or corrections? Seeing none, motion on the floor.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call, Sharon, please.
Mrs. Gatos?
Aye.
Dr. Griesach?
Aye.
Mr. Harvey?
Aye.
Mr. Johns?
Aye.
Mr. Caleri?
Aye.
Mr. Duncan?
Aye.
Mr. Wilson?
Aye.
And for our list of bills and budget transfers, again, any corrections or additions, council? Seeing none, motion on the
Motion.
floor. I'm
Second.
sorry. All right. Roll call, Sharon, please.
Mr. Wilson?
Aye.
Mr. Duncan?
Aye.
Mr. Clary?
Aye.
Mr. Johns?
Aye.
Mr. Harvey?
Aye.
Dr. Griesach?
Aye.
Mrs. Gatos?
Aye.
Council, of the vacancies on boards, commissions, and authorities, do we have any appointments or
Mayor,
nominations?
yes, I have three here. I'd like to appoint Richard Tieran to the Zoning Hearing Board.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Next.
I'd also like to appoint Gary Pugliano to the Monroeville Finance Authority.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
I have
Next.
one more, so I'd like to appoint Amanda Settlemeyer to the Convention Visitors Bureau.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Any other appointments or nominations? Thank you, Mr. John.
Yes, sir. I would like to appoint Eric Petrus, or nominate Eric Petrus from the Fifth Ward, the Park and Recreation Advisory Board.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
I would also like to nominate Donna Meyer from the Fifth Ward to the Planning Commission.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
And I would also like to nominate Marshall Boone to the Monroeville Municipal Authority.
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Any other appointments or nominations, council?
Mayor, if I could, one of my duties as deputy mayor is to actually appoint mayor and council to the different boards and commissions and government organizations as liaisons. And so for 2015, I just have a couple updates on that. Mrs. Gatos will now serve as the liaison to the Senior Citizen Center, or rather the Monroeville Council of Senior Citizens. Mr. Caleri will be the liaison to the library, and the Monroeville Foundation has two liaisons. Mr. Harvey has been serving in that capacity, and he will continue to do so, but Mr. Wilson will be joining him in that capacity as well. And I will submit a formal record for the record tomorrow.
And everything else remained the same.
Everything else will remain the same.
Very good.
Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I forgot that I need to appoint L. Jackson to the Water Authority Board.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Thank you.
Any other appointments or nominations, council? Okay, moving over to the consent agenda.
Okay, item number one is 14-9C, Robert F. Orlando, Right Angle Media Incorporated, and Jeffrey Gerber, Interstate Outdoor Advertising, LP. I'll just go right down the line here. These are the first three, and
Just read the,
okay, the first three, I'll just read the headings on the agenda here. Item number 2 is 14-10C, Jeffrey Gerber, Interstate Outdoor Advertising, LP. Number 4 is 14-11C, Jeffrey Gerber, Interstate Outdoor Advertising, LP. And That's it for those three, which are accompanying, those were the public hearing that we had on the outdoor advertising on Thursday.
Do we have to do them separately? or-
No, well, and there's 14-7C, which is the conditional use, which accompanies the
Correct.
billboard matter.
Mr. Dice, I'd like to make or ask you the proper procedure to deny these applications.
Okay. So I know, Mark, these are the 4 items that are on the agenda, is that right? That deal with the billboards.
Correct. This is the conditional use hearing we had.
So then, let me phrase the motion for you then. The motion would be in order to deny 14-9C, 14-10C, 14-11C, and 14-7C.
No,
No,
Not
no,
seven.
no,
Not
seven.
seven.
It's just
it's
the
just
first.
the amendment to the ordinance.
Just the first 3 then.
First 3, conditional use
Okay.
and the amendment to the ordinance.
So then let me repeat it. It would be 14-9C, 14-10C, and 14-11C, which are the first 3 items on the agenda. That's the motion.
So I'd like to make that motion
Is there a second?
to deny.
Second.
Who's second?
Mr. Wilson,
Roll call.
Questions or comment? Roll call, Sharon.
Mrs. Gatos,
Aye. Am I voting to
Deny.
deny?
An aye vote would be to
Aye,
deny.
vote is correct.
Aye.
Right.
Dr. Griesau,
You're in the midst of the vote now. The discussion time's over. She started the vote process.
Dr. Griesau,
Aye.
Mr. Harvey.
Aye.
Mr. Johns,
Aye.
Mr. Clary,
Aye.
Mr. Duncan,
Aye.
Mr. Wilson.
Aye.
Okay, and then move over to 14-7-C, Andrew Stewart.
Okay, number 4 through 5, 6, 7, and 8 on the agenda the applicant has all requested a table and waiving all time limits. That's for the 14-7C, 14-8C, 14-10ST, 14-7 SUB, 14-11 ST.
No, not 11. 1411's a separate.
I'm sorry, 14-11-ST.
Is there a motion on the floor?
Motion to accept?
The
The
table.
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 Is there a second?
Question.
Quick, go ahead.
Okay. Once again, there's no discussion on it.
Oh,
so-
tabling, that's right.
That's right.
I'm sorry, I apologize. Roll call, Sharon. You're correct.
I know.
Okay.
Mr. Wilson,
I'm sorry I said it that way.
Roll call, Sharon, please.
What are we doing?
That's okay.
Mr. Wilson,
Aye.
Mr. Duncan.
Aye.
Mr. Clary,
Aye.
Mr. Johns.
Aye.
Mr. Harvey.
Aye.
Dr. Griesau.
Aye.
Mrs. Gatos.
Aye.
Mr. Little, on motions, please.
Okay, motions. The first motion is, I discussed with council this.
Hold on, Tim.
Excuse
Hold
me,
on.
do you want to,
You skipped one.
you want to introduce the Eagle
Yeah,
Rivers
that's
application?
what I was trying to
Oh.
question. 1411 ST.
I thought that was, okay.
No, no.
That's what I was trying to get at.
Oh, I'm sorry, my fault.
Would this
Okay.
be an appropriate time just for everybody to take a deep breath? Start
Yeah.
over.
Okay, 14-11 ST was not part of the tabling. Easley Rivers Incorporated applicant is requesting a site plan approval to construct a 14,500 square foot warehouse and associated site amenities. The property is located at 207 Townsend Drive in the M1 zoning district, Planned Industrial Zoning District.
Guys are sitting in the back of the room, you guys are denying them.
All right. Sorry about that, gentlemen.
Well, hang on a
I caught it.
Gentlemen, hang on, motion on the floor.
Motion?
You have any questions?
To what?
To approve?
Approve.
Or disapprove? Okay.
Okay, so is there a second?
Are we going
Are we gonna let them-
to
Yeah,
talk
but I
first?
still want the motion in a second,
Oh, I
then we
didn't
can
know
have
they were here.
discussion.
Okay. Very good.
Second.
Okay, discussion.
Go ahead.
My name is Brian Almader with the firm of Farringer McCarty Gray.
I'm Glenn Sieber, the president of Easley and Rivers.
Real quick, just for council and the residents of Monroeville, Easley and Rivers is proposing to construct a 14,500 square foot warehouse on their property located on Townsend Drive. Purpose is to kind of consolidate their facilities through Monroeville and other places, and bring them closer to their home operations on Townsend Drive. We've had some, just real quick, just to go over the plans, 13 parking spaces are proposed in the front area of the building with a loading space. We have a rear trash area, public utility service, the building and the property. Stormwater detention is being proposed for the facility that meets your ordinance. There was 3 variances that were requested in October, and they were granted for side yard setback along the western property line, trash area, and parking in the side yard, and was also granted by the zoning hearing board. We've obtained some comment letters from staff and your consulting engineer, and we've addressed those comments or are in the process of addressing those comments. We believe that everything else meets current municipal codes, and would certainly hope to gain your approval tonight.
I guess I'd just like to ask staff, they're saying there's some stuff they're still working on.
There are minor things that are taken care of after the approval process.
Okay, I wanted to get
Yes,
that on the
yes,
record.
standard items.
Is the building a warehouse?
It is a warehouse.
What will be stored in it?
Furniture. We're a
You will have
construction
fire
com-
protection?
Pardon?
Fire protection
Yes.
in there?
There's already a motion and a second. Any other?
I'd like to make a motion to approve.
It's already been done.
There's a motion and a second
There's already
already
a
on the
motion on the
Oh,
second on the
okay, my
floor. Just
apologies.
any other comments from council?
No, as long as they're going to meet everything that has been asked for.
Yes.
If no one else has any problems.
And you were saying it was storing furniture and it's a construction and,
We're a construction company, and one of the divisions that we have is office furniture. We do chairs, office furnishings. Part of the warehouse, we currently are leasing 2 warehouses now in Monroeville, and we have a showroom as well. And the rent that we're paying, what our hopes is to build this, to consolidate that, and then part of this is also going to be a showroom as well.
very good.
Any other questions or comments? There's already a motion and second. Roll call, Sharon, please.
Mrs. Gatos?
Aye.
Dr. Griesbach?
Aye.
Mr. Harvey?
Aye.
Mr. Johns?
Aye.
Mr. Clary?
Aye.
Mr. Duncan?
Aye.
Mr. Wilson?
Aye.
And I promise, ladies and gentlemen, we'll try to get all this right, Ron. I don't know why we're misfiring like we are, but
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you. Appreciate your help.
Good luck.
it is what it is. Good luck on your project, Joe.
Thank you so much.
Mr. Little, if you would go over to a motion.
Okay, now we're heading into the motions now. A motion to accept the Second Amendment to the host fee agreement with Waste Management for a waiver of excavating and blasting fees in lieu of the Waste Management excavating and transferring of an estimated 2 million cubic yards of fill material of approximately 968,000 cubic yards will be used for creating approximately 5 to 6 acres of usable property for the Fire Training Center on Johnson Road.
Motion on the floor.
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Questions or comments?
Yeah, I have one question.
Sure.
I can see here that we need, we're going to be using approximately 1 million yards of that material to create that usable land. Where will the other 1 million yards go?
Well, that's for the 968,000, if I'm not mistaken, that's going to be for the first phase, Paul? Or is
No,
that?
that's the total.
That's the total?
That's the total.
Okay. Well, the other 2 million, I guess they can,
1 million.
excuse me, the other 1
It'll
million
remain on site.
will go onto their property.
Onto their property?
Yeah, they'll use it
Correct.
for daily cover.
Oh, okay.
Whatever.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments, council? Roll call, Sharon, please.
Mr. Wilson?
Aye.
Mr. Duncan?
Aye.
Mr. Clary?
Aye.
Mr. Johns?
Aye.
Mr. Harvey?
Aye.
Dr. Griesbach?
Aye.
Mrs. Gatos?
Aye.
Mr. Little.
Okay, the second item is a motion to approve the settlement terms proposed to resolve all litigation with Lynette McKinney, whereby the municipality of Monroeville will confirm McKinney's pension rights as a retired municipal employee and shall reimburse her the sum of $7,000 for past insurance premiums, with the balance of the financial terms remunerated by the municipal insurance carrier.
Motion on the floor.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Mr. Dice, would you like
Yes,
to put something in the
yes.
record?
Just so the record's clear, we've been back and forth on this. As you're aware, Lynette McKinney was terminated for cause some time ago. It's been over a year. This settlement that you're about to vote on is a global settlement, and it ends all the litigation both federally and the state level. No admission of liability on anybody's part is made vis-à-vis this document. This becomes a simple business decision on the municipality's part involving money. Under the arrangement, Monroeville's share will be $7,000 out of pocket, and the insurance company will pay the balance, as Mr. Little has already stated. If there's no settlement in this matter, you're probably looking at years of litigation at great expense to the taxpayers. Notwithstanding, in my opinion, the municipality would have prevailed. It's time to put these matters behind us. It's already been over a year. I'm going to give you a couple of words of caution. This settlement has a confidentiality clause. That means that under no circumstances, and underline those words, no circumstances, are you, members of council, permitted to comment on this matter. The same holds true for Lynette McKinney. You are not to discuss this matter either at this meeting or individually. Anyone asking questions of you concerning this agreement should be ruled out of order in future council meetings and henceforth. That's all I have.
There's a motion and a second. Roll call, Sharon, please.
Mrs. Gatos?
Aye.
Dr. Griesbach?
Aye.
Mr. Harvey?
Aye.
Mr. Johns?
Aye.
Mr. Caleri?
Aye.
Mr. Duncan?
Aye.
Mr. Wilson?
Aye.
Mr. Little.
Item number 4 is a motion to hire Sharon A. McIndoe full-time recording secretary.
Motion on the floor.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Questions or comments? Roll call, Sharon, please.
Mr. Wilson?
Aye.
Mr. Duncan?
Aye.
Mr. Caleri?
Aye.
Mr. Johns?
Absolutely.
Mr. Harvey?
Aye.
Dr. Griesbach?
No.
Mrs. Gatos?
Aye.
Mr. Little.
A motion to hire Beverly Lang, accounting manager of the Township of Cranberry, at $35 per hour, not to exceed 30 hours, to assist the finance department with munis applications.
And I forgot to make this statement, council, before I ask for a motion in a second, that all these items were discussed. So, again, motion on the floor. Motion on the floor, council.
To approve.
To approve.
We have discussion?
After you make the motion. The motion has to be on the floor and seconded before you can discuss it.
Motion.
Second.
To approve? To approve?
He shook his head yes.
Motion to
Yes.
approve.
Okay.
Let the record
thank you.
reflect that he shook his head
Okay,
yes.
now
And a
discussion.
second.
Thank you, Mr. Dykes.
What is the purpose of this outside contractor?
Okay, well, Sean, I'll let you chime in on that.
Bev Lang has over 23 years.
Talking to your mic,
I
Bob.
can't hear you.
Bev Lang has over 23 years of experience on the Munis accounting software. That's a deficiency in my current role that I need to pick up on, and she is coming in as an educator and helping me to do some year-end closing processes because she is very familiar with this technology. It has no other purpose than that, than to aid us in completing our books for the year.
It's a one-time deal.
Yes.
But that also will give you the education you need, though.
Yes, I would hope so.
And there's been,
Can you be clear about what the munis is for the municipality?
Sure. Munis is the accounting software that the municipality uses to do all of our reconciliations, to balance our books, to give you accurate reports as a council and mayor as to where we stand fiscally. In a level of complexity, one of the most complex things that I have ever tackled. And as such, Bev is an expert on this subject, and she's offering her assistance to me and the municipality to get us to where we need to be.
One more time.
Sure.
One time, 30 hours, one time, or 30 hours a week?
No, 30 hours one time.
and Mr. Lally,
30 hours in total.
Go ahead, Nick.
it's my understanding that Munis, like even whenever you have contacted the company, that it's been difficult getting training from them?
Yes, it's inherently difficult for several reasons. One being that I don't know if it's just bad luck or some weird thing, but every time we try to get training, half of the training time is troubleshooting problems that exist inside of the system. I don't know if they're mathematical derivations. I don't know what's going on with it. I'm not an IT person, but it seems like when training sessions start, you may actually have an hour of education and 2.5 hours of them being on your server trying to correct an issue that isn't working. And there's a cost factor. When Munis training is implemented, that's $1,350 a day per $35 an hour to come in for 30 hours one-on-one with somebody that is going to physically work with you and explain the things that Munis is incapable of doing. It technically is a bargain based on what Munis would be training. And in all fairness, training is something that I think all employees should get in their job, and I think she'll be a good resource for us.
So bottom line, this is asking for $1,050 to complete your training.
Basically.
Any other questions or comments? Roll call, Sharon, please.
Mrs. Gatos?
Aye.
Dr. Griesbach?
Aye.
Mr. Harvey?
Aye.
Mr. Johns?
Aye.
Mr. Caleri?
Aye.
Mr. Duncan?
Aye.
Mr. Wilson?
Aye.
And moving over to resolutions, once
you, Sean.
again, Mr. Little.
Okay, a resolution exonerating the real estate tax collector from the collection of uncollected taxes for the year 2013.
Motion on the floor?
Is this housekeeping?
Yes.
Yeah, more, yeah.
Motion on the floor.
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
I have a question.
Sure.
As I was reading through that, I saw a lot of what I believe to be there were taxes not collected from businesses.
Tax not collected on businesses?
Commercial taxes. Why would we not continue to why would we not be able to collect that?
Well, it's not that he wouldn't, I mean, it's not that Pat Fulkerson would not try to collect that, but you have to, under the Home Rule Charter and the Borough Code, you have to give an exoneration to your tax collector to signify that he's signifying to you that, hey, these are the taxes that are not collected, all right, to balance it out. That we, as per our assessment, and so it's an exoneration is what it is. It doesn't mean that he's not going to try to collect them.
If you remember, Paul, he said that we have about $2 million plus out there that has not been collected, and he didn't break it down business or personal, but they are going to continue to pursue that.
What this,
Now, I'm sorry, go ahead, Bruce.
why you do it is it triggers now the fact that these taxes are delinquent. And now the delinquent tax collector begins to collect. Additional penalties go on the books officially. So that's interest and penalty. So that's really it. You got to do it in order to begin the process of the delinquent tax collection.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments on this item? Roll call, Sharon, please.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Mr. Duncan?
Aye.
Mr. Caleri?
Aye.
Mr. Johns?
Aye.
Mr. Harvey?
Aye.
Dr. Griesbach?
Aye.
Mrs. Gatos?
Aye.
And Mr. Little.
Okay, a resolution adopting the Panda Express planning module.
Tim,
Do a brief.
this is tables.
Oh,
This is
one's
a table
tabled.
item.
Okay, that's true. Okay, I'm sorry.
It goes in concert with the other tabling items.
Okay. All right, then a motion to table the adopting of the Panda Express planning module.
Motion on the floor.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call, Sharon, please.
Mrs. Gatos?
Aye.
Dr. Griesbach?
Aye.
Mr. Harvey?
Aye.
Mr. Johns?
Aye.
Mr. Caleri?
Aye.
Mr. Duncan?
Aye.
Mr. Wilson?
Aye.
Mr. Dice.
Yes, this is an ordinance, and I believe, given council's predisposition and moving to deny those applications for the previous 1 through 4, I think a motion is going to be in order to deny an ordinance of the council of the municipality of Monroeville, County of Allegheny, amending ordinance 1443 as amended, including Article 6, definitions, amending and providing for additional definitions within the, for the development within the billboards and outdoor advertising overlay district, Article 2, District Regulations 201, zoning district section 202, and district boundaries to create an outdoor advertising overlay district located along the interstate roadway corridor of the Penn Lincoln Parkway, Interstate 376.
Motion on the floor.
Motion to deny.
Second.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, roll call, Sharon, please.
Mrs. Gayos?
By saying aye, you did aye.
Aye.
Dr. Griesbach?
Aye.
Mr. Harvey?
Aye.
Mr. Johns?
Aye.
Mr. Clary?
Aye.
Mr. Duncan?
Aye.
Mr. Wilson?
Aye.
And we'll move over to reports of our municipal staff. And Bruce, any words of wisdom?
No, you said them all tonight.
Tim, you have one issue.
Yes, I would like to report to council and the public. We have received the grant for $250,000 for a new compressible recycling truck. And also part of that grant is to buy some recycling bins and also some educational material. The grant is for 2 years. We have 2 years to implement it, and as I mentioned to council in the summertime when we were applying for this grant, that I believe that this is something that will probably take effect in 2016 and use a neighborhood in the community as a prototype, because the recycling truck is one that we could buy that would have an arm that one person could pick up the recycling with the new bins. Now, the bins, the amount of bins we could purchase would not be for the whole community, because the amount of money just isn't there. So with that in mind, it would just be a prototype to move forward with being able to collect newsprint in our recycling instead of having 7 containers around the municipality. Eventually, the plan is, as most other municipalities, you can throw newspaper in your recyclables, and that can be picked up. Right now, we can't do that because our recycling trucks are not compressible, because the newsprint is very voluminous and will take up a lot of room in the recycling truck. So this is the start of trying to get our recycling program into the 21st century, or for that matter, the latter part of the 20th century. Okay, so we have received that grant.
Thank you. Paul
No comments.
and Sean. Now we'll move over to public comments on any municipal item. Anything you'd like to address, council, certainly your time to come on up. Nobody?
Okay, move forward.
Ralph, state your name for the record.
Ralph Greco from Monroeville. I just think that Mr. Yunkin, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing his name right or not. Yakum was really unfair with Doug Cole, our police chief, who I think is doing an excellent job.
So do I, Ralph.
Pardon?
I think he is too.
I think the mall incident, considering how that came down, I mean, that was something that was never even heard of before. With the limited forces that he had, he really got that under control pretty fast. And there was very few, 2 people that ended up getting hurt? Nobody went to the hospital. How can Mr. Yakim say that he didn't do a good job? And he's done a lot of good jobs in other areas since he came back, especially as far as the drugs go. You see a lot less of it. I also think that this council really deserves a hand, because they have really done a nice job of the way they proceed and do everything. And for that, I thank you.
Thank you.
We appreciate that. Ralph.
Thank you, Ralph.
Thank you.
Sir, you want to come on up? Please sign in, state your name for the record.
John Larkin, Monroeville resident, Vincel Lane.
By the way, ladies and gentlemen, you do not have to give your address, just that you're a Monroeville resident.
All I want to say is Mrs. Gates, thank you for the Court of the Billboards. Gentlemen, thank you. Gentlemen, thank you. My way of life continues to go. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Once again, ladies and gentlemen, I'll leave the floor open for you to address council. This is certainly your time to do that. Seeing none, we'll close that proportion of the meeting, and we'll go over to reports of our council members. We'll start off with you, Tom.
I'd like to reinforce what Mr. Greco said about our police department. Anytime someone attacks our police department, our fire departments, or our special services departments, you're addressing those comments to the family, and we don't take those comments very well. So we all know that our police department is doing a great job, and our fire departments are doing a great job, and our special services departments are doing a great job. And we will continue to support those different departments as strongly as we possibly can. Thank you.
Steve.
I'd just like to thank all the residents for coming tonight, and that's all I have.
All righty. Sir.
I'd just like to nominate my ward for to be the trial for the new recycle truck.
Thank you.
Well, that'll have to do on how easy it is to get a recycling truck and pick up the recycling in a neighborhood.
I'm okay with that. You ever saw the look at his driveway?
No one seconded.
Down to his house? No.
Your house probably,
No second.
with a long driveway in there.
I believe it would work better in Ward 7.
One.
Anything else for us, Paul?
That's all I have tonight, Mayor. Thank you.
Jim.
Yes, Mayor, I'm usually pretty quick, but I'm going to take a couple of minutes, so bear with me. There's a couple things going on at the Convention Center. Pittsburgh Boat Show is Friday, January 16th through the 18th, also Friday, January 23rd through the 25th. The Outdoor Home Show is Friday, February 6th through the 8th. Greensburg Train and Toy Show is Saturday, February 14th and 15th. And Steel City Kitties is February 14th and 15th. Now, if I can, I'd like to take a minute, as Jimmy Johns, not a councilman. For anybody that knows me, for 50 of my years of breathing air, at one point or another, I've been plowing snow. This is just something that gets up my rear end, and I want to get it out there. I ride around the community a lot with a plow and a truck. I do a lot of stuff here and there, and I would just like the residents to try to just think about what I'm saying and understand. If you're riding around in a 5-ton dump truck with a big plow on it, and you're coming down a residential street, I don't care where it is in the community, most of us, not all, have driveways, and a lot of us tend to park on the street. And when you park on the street, not only are you on the street, you got 2 cars on this side, 1 over here, and here comes this big truck, and guess what? He can't get through. Not only that, he's pushing a big pile of snow. Where's he going to go with it? Secondly, when those cars are parked there, now what happens? They move. Now what do you have? You have ice and stuff everywhere else. It's now not getting cleaned up and creates a hazard. There is an ordinance in Monroeville saying that street parking is not allowed to be done between the hours of 2 a.m. and 6 a.m., I believe. It's not enforced, and it probably won't be. What I'm asking is anybody that can hear my voice. I understand it's a real pain in the neck, jockeying cars because you got family, but if we personally are as good as weathermen as anybody I see on TV. We know when it's going to snow. If you do, take 5 minutes of your time, get your car out of the way and give these guys a little break. That's all I got. With that, I'm done. Oh, wait, one other thing. I apologize. To you, Ralph, I believe Mr. Yakem is running for office. That's why he spent so much time up here. You ought to take the time, it's probably a record, and see if he paid his taxes. I'm done.
Yes.
You did?
Yes.
Thank you, he has. In Monroeville, thank you.
Mr. Harvey.
This is not to tear apart the senior citizen publication, but I just wanted to make a correction. If you saw it, there's going to be some dates where several of us are going to go over and basically it's called Coffee with Council, and they misprinted my ward. They put me in Ward 1 and Paul Clary in Ward 3. And since I don't want him representing my ward, anyway,
It's tough up here, you know.
just be aware that the dates that were going to be there's the same, but the wards were accidentally misprinted. The other thing I have is I wanted everybody to be aware that during that recent ice storm we had, people were saying, boy, the salt trucks weren't out there in time. They took a while to get out. It was because the workers couldn't get to the Public Works garage because of the accidents and cars all over the road conditions. I can tell you they were out. They were trying to get there. The traffic had them all jammed up. So there was a big delay in the drivers of the salt trucks getting to the Public Works Department. So they still did a good job, but they have to get there safely too. So, and last but not least, I have been, I don't know, threatening this, or I want the deputy mayor and the mayor to look this over. I made enough for everybody to look it over, and it's just a trial thing, but this is the application for somebody who wants to serve on the Home Rule Charter Committee. And if council and the mayor look it over, there's nothing exorbitant about it. It's, if they would approve it, and then maybe next month we announce that they're available, residents could come up and pick one up or fill it up out there upstairs and apply for, or show their interest in looking over the Home Rule Charter. That's all.
Thank you, sir. Nick?
Yes. Well, regarding this, I mean, maybe if I could speak with the mayor, and we can maybe get this rolling next month, instead of actually acting right now on it.
Yeah, I didn't want to act on it. I wanted to give it to you. And
Very good.
I would like to see that happen next month if we can.
So
Yeah,
you and I
we'll
will
make
speak,
time,
and we'll
yes.
talk with council members. So very good. Thank you, Ron. Just one quick update on the Monroeville Trail Advisory Committee, the Westmoreland Heritage Trail, which is a trail that runs, hopefully, it runs from Delmar to Trafford. That is the ultimate goal. It is something that's been in the works with grant money through Westmoreland County. It runs along Turtle Creek. You can access it if you go down Saunders Station Road, right across the railroad tracks. But those railroad tracks will no longer be down the road. Currently, they are finishing up deed searches in Allegheny County, and once that's completed, they're actually going to start in Monroeville and start the construction of that trail. There's a construction company from Indiana that will be pulling up the ties and the railroad tracks, and they're starting in Monroeville, Meadowbrook Road, and then they're going to be going both directions to Trafford and to Export. So this is a really nice project for Monroeville, and with zero cost to us. So it's a good thing. So we'll keep you posted as that moves forward, and that's all I have for this evening.
Linda?
Okay, I have a lot. Sorry. There's a young gentleman in my ward that contacted me, and his name is John Urban, and he is going to be holding a blood drive at the Crossroads Presbyterian Church, 2310 Haymaker Road. He's doing this for his Boy Scout Eagle rank for Troop 184. This is going to be held on Saturday, January 31st, from 9 to 3, and he is even willing to take appointments, and he's asked me to give his cell number, so if anyone would like to make an appointment, to make it easier for themselves. His number is 412-526-9447. So if you can get involved and help him out, I think it's a really great cause, and it's nice to see a young person doing something so wonderful. Secondly, now I was just appointed to the Senior Citizen Center Board, and I would like to thank Nick for that. They put out the newsletters, which is like a 2-month newsletter. You can get them at the center, the library, the borough, and they also have a website. Their phone number is 412-856-7825 if you have any questions. The biggest thing that I can tell you right now is that they've opened up nighttime. They've added some nighttime, expanded into that, and they're going to have a cardio aerobics program that is an 8-week program. It's $40, and they need pre-registration. And the sessions are going to be on Thursday nights, February 5th through March 26th. A Circuit 45, which is also an 8-week program, $45, February 3rd through March 24th. And lastly, a yoga fitness program that's going to be on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 5 to 6 o'clock. It's $5 a class, pay as you go. And what really needs to be known is this project was completely funded by UPMC, the Monroeville Council of Senior Citizens, and the evening employees. No funds came from the municipal budget whatsoever for this. So it's a really nice expansion, and I think they've worked really, really hard. So everybody, try and take advantage of it. Get the newsletter, read. There's a lot of information in here. And lastly, on Old Ramsey Road, we're going to ask for an update for everyone that wants to know what's going on, like me. I know the project started. I know there was a little delay with Duquesne Light, but could you update us, Mr. Yegas, please?
Sure, the construction started actually on Monday. It'll probably take about 2.5 months, two and a half months, depending on the weather. Duquesne Light should be in there this week, moving some utility poles, so hopefully the weather doesn't hold us up too much.
Okay, everyone in my ward and whoever uses the road, we're getting there, slowly but surely, but we are getting there, so it is progress. And with that, that's all I have.
Okay, I just have one request of council, and then I do have a comment, but I'd like to request a meeting date change in April for the Citizens Night and Council Work Session from Thursday, April 9th to Wednesday, April 8th. And the reason being is that everybody knows that Allegheny League of Municipalities has the conference, which, for those of us that attend, there is...
Motion to approve?
Okay. Is there a second?
I didn't hear the date.
He heard enough.
Second.
It's from the 9th to the 8th, that's all, just a one-day change. Roll call, Sharon, please.
Mrs. Gatos?
Aye.
Dr. Griesau?
Aye.
Mr. Harvey?
Aye.
Mr. Johns?
Aye.
Mr. Caleri?
Aye.
Mr. Duncan?
Aye.
Mr. Wilson?
Aye.
Thank you, Council. I just have one quick comment, and that has to do with some of the things I did say in the state of municipality. I am very proud to be the mayor here in Monroeville, and I think, as I stated in there, you guys are wonderful residents. Even if you're disagreeing with us, it's okay. That's what makes America great. You can do that. It's safe. And we do have a safe community. And believe it or not, as tough as the times were from '08 and even to today, Monroeville really has held its own. Please, never give up on Monroeville. I know this council doesn't, and I certainly wouldn't. We have a wonderful community. And no matter what some are saying differently, and every now and then you know who I'm referring to, that is certainly their opinion. It's America. You're allowed to have it. And ladies and gentlemen, it says on here, executive session, personnel litigation. We already had that, so I'm seeking a motion to adjourn.
Second.
A second?
Motion to adjourn.
Wait,
I need a motion.
let's
for-
start off
to
with me
adjourn.
in the motion.
Need a motion?
Motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Thank you.
Wow.
All in favor?
Aye.
We're going to get it right eventually.